Everyone, have you called your parents today? The story I'm about to share is something all of us should think about at least once in our lives. Before we begin, please make sure to hit subscribe and like. And if this story touches your heart, I hope you'll pick up the phone and call your parents today. Young Bun Ya woke up early and went to the market. She picked out apples her grandson liked and bought a bundle of dried pollock. Her son used to love when he was a boy. It was the day she would finally visit her son's home again. Carrying heavy grocery bags, she took 2 buses and thought, is it supposed to be this hard just to see my own grandchild? Even so, she tried to understand. They were busy. They had their own lives. She told herself that's just how things are. She arrived at the apartment and rang the doorbell. Soon, her daughter-in-law Ji Yun's voice came through the intercom. Who is it? It's me, Ji Yun. I came to see the baby. The door opened, but Ji Yun only showed her face through a narrow crack. There was no come on in, mother. Bun Ya lifted the grocery bags slightly and smiled. I bought apples and dried pollock. Min Su likes these. But Ji Yun's expression stayed stiff. A short silence, and then very carefully Ji Yun spoke. Mother, I'm really sorry, but our kid keeps saying you smell funny. When you come over, he gets uncomfortable. It took a while for those words to sink in. The grocery bag trembled in Bun Ja's hand. I smell? Like an old person. It's not your fault. Kids are just really sensitive. Ji Yun added I'm sorry. A few more times, but those words didn't reach Bun Ja's ears. The door closed. Holding the bags, she walked toward the elevator. Inside, she looked into the mirror. In the reflection stood a 68-year-old woman with white hair. The words you smell kept echoing in her head. After that day, her contact with her son faded. Whenever she called, her son, Min Su, repeated the same lines. Mom, I'm in a meeting. Can you spare some time this weekend? This weekend we have a meeting with the kids' tutor. When Chuseok approached, she gathered her courage. Let's spend the holiday together this year. Come over and we'll hold the memorial rite. But her son answered, Mom, we decided to spend Chuseok at my in-laws this year. We're going to rotate each year. What about Lunar New Year, then? That might be difficult too. After she hung up, she would just sit and stare blankly at the wall. It had been 3 years since her husband passed away, and she started living alone in that house. Neighbors asked, Your son doesn't come to see you? He's just busy. Young people are all like that these days. But still, he should come at least on holidays. She smiled as she answered, but when she came back home, the tears came. The words you smell wouldn't leave her. No matter how much she washed her clothes or scrubbed the house, that sentence stayed stuck in her chest. One night, she stood in front of the mirror for a long time. She traced the wrinkles on her face, looked at her bent back, and thought, when did I get this old? Have I really become a burden to my own child? That night, she made a decision. She would no longer be a burden to her son. The next morning, she packed a few clothes into an old bag. Not many, just some underwear and 1 coat. Enough. In the kitchen, she stood in front of the clay crocks of soybean paste that her late husband had made. For 30 years, every spring, he had boiled the beans, shaped the miju blocks, fermented them through winter, and carefully made doenjang every year. She chose 2 crocks, one from last year, and one from this year. She poured the remaining rice from the rice bin into a small sack. It'll be enough for a while, she thought. Before leaving, she looked around the house one last time. She had lived there 40 years. She had raised her son there, grown old there with her husband. His favorite makgeolli cup still sat in the kitchen. Her son's graduation photo was still hanging on the living room wall. Now I should live my own life too. She whispered that to herself, closed the door, and walked to the bus stop. After a 2-hour bus ride, she arrived at a small rural market. Not far from the village where she'd grown up. The market was quieter than in the old days, but the warmth was the same. Grandmothers selling vegetables, men selling fish, calling out to customers in a friendly dialect. Walking slowly, she noticed an old commercial building. On the front door, a small sheet of paper was taped. Shop for rent. Contact. She dialed the number. Hello, I'm calling about the shop for rent. Yes, it's 20,001 a month. Can I move in starting tomorrow? The next day, she rented a tiny store. It wasn't even 10 pyong, but for a one-person restaurant, it was enough. Paint was peeling off the walls, dust layered the floor. She spent the entire day cleaning. And by the time she finished, the sun was setting. That night, she spread a blanket in the corner and lay down. Looking up at the ceiling, she wondered, what should I do now? All she had were 2 crocks of doenjang and a sack of rice. Oddly, she felt at peace. She wouldn't be a burden to anyone anymore. That thought alone brought her relief. The next morning, she went to the market early. With the money she had left, she bought a small gas stove, 2 pots, and some plastic bowls. From the vegetable stand she bought a bit of radish, zucchini, and onion. She added a block of tofu. Back at the shop, she began to cook doenjang jjigae. She scooped a spoonful of her husband's soybean paste into the pot and dissolved it in water. She sliced radish and tossed it in. As the stew began to boil, that deep, savory scent rose and filled the room. Smelling it, tears welled in her eyes. She thought of her husband. She thought of her son when he was little. To make a signboard, she went to a nearby hardware shop. What kind of business are you going to run? The owner asked. I'm going to sell doenjang stew. What's the name of the place? Young's Doenjang Stew House. 3 days later, the sign went up. It wasn't large, but to her, it was a banner announcing a new life. She placed 2 tables and 4 chairs inside. On the wall, she hung an old photo of herself and her husband. On opening day, not a single customer came. The second day, it was the same. On the third afternoon, 2 men, obviously construction workers, came in. Do you have doenjang stew? Yes, I do. 2, please. She made it with all her heart. A generous spoonful of paste, big chunks of tofu, slices of zucchini and radish, green onions at the end. She served it with rice, kimchi, and pickled radish. After the first spoonful, one of them opened his eyes wide. Wow, this tastes like real home-cooked food. This is a mom's touch, for sure. Hearing that, she smiled quietly. It was just 2 customers that day, but that night, she went to sleep happy. From the next day on, she got up before dawn. Before sunrise, behind the shop, she opened the crock and handled the paste. Whenever she opened it, that rich, fermented aroma tickled her nose. It was the scent of her husband's lifetime of work. She saved rice washing water and carefully dissolved a bit of doenjang. She simmered anchovies to make broth. She cleaned and cut the vegetables radish in small squares, zucchini in half moons. She tore tofu by hand, knowing it tasted better that way. After about a week, she had her first regulars. The construction workers brought others along. Hey, the doenjang stew here is amazing. The lady makes it herself. It feels like eating at home. Soon the 2 tables were packed at lunchtime. In the evenings, more people came, older folks living alone, young workers coming off their shifts. One evening, a young man in a suit walked in. He quietly sat by himself and ordered stew. When she set down the steaming bowl, he took 1 bite, then tears fell from his eyes. Are you okay? She asked. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. Grandma, this smells exactly like my mom's cooking. I came because I missed her, but I didn't think I'd cry like this. Where is your mother? She asked. She lives alone in the countryside. I work in Seoul, so I hardly ever visit. She gave him extra side dishes and said softly, "Call her later. I'm sure she's waiting for you." That night, she thought of her own son. Was Min-soo doing well? Was her grandson healthy? Her hand reached for the phone and stopped. He'll call if he wants to. Let it be, she told herself. Spring turned into summer. Her little shop became somewhat famous in the area. When people asked for a good place to eat, everyone mentioned Young's doenjang stew. On a scorching summer day, she was still there at dawn, making anchovy stock and dissolving doenjang. Sweat ran down her back, but she didn't feel tired. Watching people eat with satisfaction was enough to keep her going. Summer passed, and autumn came. Newly harvested rice appeared in the market. She bought fresh rice and cooked fragrant, glossy bowls of it. The aroma of fresh rice and earthy stew mixed, drifting all the way outside. When Chuseok came, she spent the holiday in the restaurant alone. Her son never called. That evening, she cooked one bowl of stew for herself, and another, which she placed in front of her husband's photo. "Dear, we're doing well. Don't worry," she said. That winter was especially cold. Snow fell heavily, and the winds were harsh. But inside the restaurant, it was warm with steaming doenjang stew and hot rice. Even in that bitter cold, the customers kept coming. Winter passed. Spring returned. A full year had gone by almost without her noticing. That spring, she did what her husband used to do. She made mijo. She boiled the beans, mashed them, formed them into blocks, and began to ferment them just the way he had taught her. By the second spring, her restaurant was well known. Anyone visiting the market knew about Young's doenjang stew. If someone asked for a recommendation, her place was always mentioned. One afternoon, an elderly woman came in, her back slightly hunched. She ordered stew and, when it arrived, inhaled deeply. "This smell, it's just like my old home," she said. "Where do you live?" Bun Ya asked. "Over in the next village. I live alone. What about your family?" "My son's in the city. He's too busy to visit much." Listening to her, Bun Ya saw herself. After she finished eating, Bun Ya refused to take her money. "Today, it's my treat," she said. "Oh, I can't let you do that. It's all right, just come again." The old woman thanked her several times and, as she left, said, "You're a good person. You'll be blessed." Hearing that, Bun Ya thought, "I'm already blessed. Every day I cook for someone, and they eat with joy. That alone is a blessing." As time went on, she grew close to the market people. Everyone greeted her. The vegetable seller picked out the freshest produce for her. The fish vendor set aside the best anchovies. "Ms. Young, these anchovies are top quality. You'll get a rich broth with these." "Thank you. I'll repay you with stew." Little by little, she built a new family not tied by blood, but connected by heart. In the third year, she expanded the shop. The store next door became vacant, so she rented that too. She increased the tables to 5, and the kitchen grew a bit larger. Now it was too much work for one person, so she hired a woman from the neighborhood. "Unnie, I'll help you," the woman said. "Thank you. I've been so busy lately." Her helper washed dishes and cleaned, so Bun Ya could focus on cooking. She gradually added to the menu kimchi stew and cheonggukjang as well. But the most popular dish was still doenjang stew. In the fourth year, a small article appeared in the local paper. "Hidden gem in the country market, a tiny doenjang stew house." A reporter came to interview her. "What's the secret behind such great taste?" he asked. "There's no secret," she replied. "I just cook with sincerity." "Do you use any special ingredients?" "No, just good paste, fresh vegetables, and time." After the article was published, even more customers came. On weekends, people waited in line. She felt sorry for them, so she brought out barley tea. Please wait just a little longer. A table will open up soon. It's okay, Grandma. We'll wait. By the fifth spring, the local TV station called. They were filming a show about regional food and wanted to feature her. Grandma, can we film here? On TV? Someone like me can be on TV? Of course. Your story is truly touching. They set a filming date 1 week later. On the day of filming, she woke up at her usual hour before dawn. She prepared everything as she always did, simmering anchovies, dissolving paste, cutting vegetables, tearing tofu. At around 10 a.m., the crew arrived: a camera operator, a lighting tech, and a young female reporter with a bright smile. Hello, Grandma. Thank you for having us today. I just do what I always do, right? She asked. Yes, please just be yourself. The cameras started rolling. She cooked as she always did: water in the pot, rich anchovy broth, a ladle of paste, radish, zucchini, tofu, green onion. Steam rose from the stew as she ladled it into a bowl. She served it with white rice, kimchi, and pickled radish. The reporter took a bite and exclaimed, "Wow, this tastes incredible. This is what Mom's cooking really means." "Thank you," Bun Ya said shyly. Then came the interview. "What made you start this restaurant?" the reporter asked. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly answered. 5 years ago, my husband passed away. I was left alone and I didn't want to be a burden to my son. So I decided to live on my own. Wasn't it hard? At first, it was. But while cooking this stew, I realized something. This smell is the scent of my life. Some people may hate it, but others will love it. Do you have a special secret to your stew? There's no secret. I just use the paste my husband made and cook it with all my heart. His love is in this paste. And my life is in it too." The reporter's eyes grew red. Even the cameraman sniffled. "Listening to you, I'm reminded of my own mother," the reporter said. "Is your mother doing well?" Bun Ya asked. "Yes, she's in the countryside. I don't visit her often. Call her today. I'm sure she's waiting." Filming went on until the afternoon. They recorded customers eating, laughing, and her cooking quietly in the kitchen. The last shot was her final message to the viewers. "Grandma, is there anything you'd like to say to our audience?" She looked straight into the camera. "Everyone, call your parents. Don't push them away saying they smell, or they bother you. That smell is the smell of love. Breathe it in while you still can. A day will come when you want to smell it again, but never can." The show aired a week later, at 8 p.m. She forgot about it and spent the evening as usual, serving customers, washing dishes, preparing for the next day. But in a Seoul apartment, 3 people sat watching TV: her son, Min Soo, his wife, Ji Yun, and their now elementary school son. As they flipped through channels, they landed on a local features program. On the screen appeared the title, "Hidden Gem of a Country Market." A grandmother was cooking doenjang stew. The moment he saw her, Min Soo froze. "That's Mom." Ji Yun stared, shocked. It was definitely her mother-in-law, the woman she'd turned away at the door 5 years ago. On screen, Yoon Bun Ya was speaking. 5 years ago, my husband passed away. I was left alone. I didn't want to be a burden to my son, so I decided to live on my own." The color drained from Min Soo's face. At last he understood why his mother had disappeared, why her phone number had changed, why she'd never called again. On the screen, his mother continued. "I realized this smell, some may hate it, but others will love it." At those words, tears flowed down Ji Yun's face. She remembered what she'd said 5 years earlier. "You smell like an old person." Now she saw what those words had done to a human life. When the program ended, Min Soo grabbed his phone. He looked for her number, but when he dialed it, the message said, "The number you have dialed is not in service." Her number, it's not in use anymore, he whispered. He laughed weakly, on the verge of tears. For 5 years he'd never called. Never visited. Not once, even on holidays. "Let's go see her tomorrow," Ji-yun said quietly. They showed the location on the program. "If we go there, we'll find her." That night, he couldn't sleep. His mother's face kept appearing in his mind, her bright smile as she served customers. Watching her, he realized something. His mother was living just fine without him. Maybe she had suffered because of him. Maybe she had left to stop hurting. Early the next morning, the family got into the car and headed out of the city. He entered the name of the market from the show into the navigation. It was a 2-hour drive. In the car, no one spoke. Only their son occasionally broke the silence. "Dad, are we going to see Grandma?" "Yeah, do you think she remembers me?" He couldn't answer. The child, who had been 5, was now 10. In all those years, Grandma hadn't seen him even once. After 2 hours, they reached the small market. It was more modest than they'd imagined. People were coming and going. Stalls were lined with vegetables and fish. "Excuse me," he asked a passerby, "do you know where Young's Dinjong Stew House is?" "Oh, that place? Go down that alley and keep going straight." "Thank you." They went into a narrow but clean alley. Soon, a familiar smell reached them, the rich scent of Dinjong. They followed it, and then they saw it. Young's Dinjong Stew House. The sign was old but neat. Through the window, they could see 5 tables, all occupied. And in the kitchen, in an apron, was his mother. He stopped in his tracks. It was the first time in 5 years he'd seen her. She looked thinner, her hair whiter. But her face, her expression was bright. She was smiling as she set down bowls of stew. "Let's go in," Ji-yun whispered. But he couldn't move. He didn't know how to face her. Their son walked ahead and pushed open the door. A small bell chimed above the door. His mother looked up, and saw the 3 of them standing there. Time seemed to stop. Yung Bun Ya froze, still holding the ladle. Min Soo stood in the doorway, unable to step forward. Their eyes met in midair. "Mom." His voice trembled. She didn't say a word. She just looked at him. "Please, have a seat," said the helper, breaking the silence. They sat carefully at an empty table. Other customers, unaware of what was happening, continued eating. Bun Ya slowly went back into the kitchen. Her hands were shaking, but she began to cook. Water, broth, paste, radish, zucchini, tofu, green onion, the same motions she had repeated thousands of times. A few minutes later, she brought out 3 bowls of steaming stew, with rice, kimchi, and pickled radish. She set them down silently. His hand trembled as he picked up his spoon. He took 1 sip, and burst into tears. This was the taste that had always been on the table when he came home from school, the taste she made when he was sick, the taste of his childhood and his home. "Mom." He couldn't hold back anymore. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Ji-yun began to cry too. "Mother, I'm sorry. I was so wrong." Their son, startled to see adults crying, quietly ate his stew. And said in a small voice, "Grandma, it's really good." At that, tears finally began to fall from Bun Ja's eyes. Her grandson, the little boy she hadn't seen in 5 years, was now so big. "Eat plenty," she said softly. For the first time, she spoke. She scooped more rice into his bowl. After lunch, the customers left. Only the family remained. The helper quietly slipped out, giving them privacy. "How have you been these past 5 years, Mom?" he asked. "As you can see, I've done all right," she answered. "Why did you change your number? Why didn't you call?" "I didn't want to be a burden to you anymore." "What do you mean, a burden? You're never a burden to me." She gave a sad little smile. Your wife said I smelled. You remember, don't you? At that, Ji-Yun dropped to her knees. Mother, I'm so sorry. I was foolish. I never imagined my words would drive you away like this. Get up. It's over now, she said gently. Mother, please come live with us again. Come back to Seoul. She shook her head. No, I like it here. This is my home now. But, here, I'm needed. Every day I cook for someone, and they eat and smile. This is my life now. He looked at her for a long moment. She truly looked happy. Happier than when she'd been alone in the city. Then we'll come often, he said. We'll visit every weekend. Come when you can. Don't strain yourselves, she replied. I'll bring the kid too. He should learn how to make your stew. She looked at her grandson and smiled. Yes, I should teach him. The taste of our family's doenjang. They spent the afternoon talking about the past 5 years, about work, about school, about the restaurant and the regulars. As the sun began to set, it was time for them to go. Before getting into the car, he hugged his mother tightly. Mom, I love you. I love you too, my son, she said. The next weekend, they came again. This time, they brought bags full of groceries, fresh vegetables, meat, fruit. Mom, take these, he said. You didn't have to. Mother, can I help you with anything? Ji-Yun tied on an apron. You're going to work here? Bun-ya asked, surprised. Yes, I'll do the dishes and clean today. From that day on, they came most weekends. He wiped tables and seated customers. Ji-Yun washed dishes and helped with side dishes. Their son carried water to the tables. Customers asked, Are they your family? Yes. My son, my daughter-in-law, and my grandson, she answered proudly. You all seem so close, they said. We've finally become close, she replied with a laugh. The restaurant grew even more popular after the TV show. People came from far away. On weekends, the line never seemed to end. One Saturday, as they were closing, her son spoke carefully. Mom, what if we expand the restaurant? We could get a bigger place, hire more staff. She shook her head. No, this is enough. If it gets too big, it's hard to put your heart into each bowl. But still, I didn't start this to make a lot of money. I started because I wanted to give someone a warm, homemade meal. That's my happiness. He nodded. She hadn't changed at all. Or maybe, she had finally become fully herself. Months later, their grandson brought home a school assignment. He had to research a family member's job. He chose his grandmother. Grandma, why do you sell doenjang stew? He asked. When I was little, my mother used to make it for me, she said. The taste made me so happy. So I wanted to give that same feeling to someone else. Isn't working every day hard? It is, she answered. But I'm happy. When I see people smile as they eat my food, I feel strong again. Grandma, I want to have a restaurant like you someday. She stroked his hair. If that's what you want, I'll teach you everything. How to make paste, how to cook, and most importantly, how to treat people. From then on, every weekend he stood beside her in the kitchen. He learned how to wash vegetables, how to control the heat, how to season the stew. But the lesson she repeated most was this. Cooking is about your heart. If you put your sincerity into it, the person eating it will feel happy. A year passed. The restaurant was still full every day. And on weekends, the whole family gathered. The little restaurant had become more than a business. It was where they met, shared stories, and shared love. 2 more years went by. By then, Young's doenjang stew house was famous in the region. Tourists came, and young chefs came to learn. But the restaurant was still small, 5 tables, about 20 seats. She refused to make it bigger. This is plenty, she said. I want to remember every customer's face. One afternoon, a young couple came in. We came here on our honeymoon, the husband said. We saw the TV program and really wanted to visit. Welcome, she said. Please, have a seat. They ordered stew. After a single spoonful, the husband said, "This tastes exactly like my mom's cooking." She asked, "Do you see your mother often?" "No, I'm too busy," he replied. "Call her today," she told him. "Before it's too late." After the meal, he stepped outside and called his mother right away. Watching from inside, she smiled. That evening, she closed the restaurant and cleaned up. Her body was old and tired, but somehow, she didn't feel weighed down. She was content. There was a knock at the door. When she opened it, her son's family stood outside. "Mom, you haven't eaten yet, have you? Tonight, we'll cook for you." They came in and started moving naturally around the kitchen. He washed rice. Ji-yun cut vegetables. Their grandson wiped tables. "Mom, where's the paste?" he asked. "Up on the kitchen shelf," she answered. Soon, a pot of bubbling stew filled the room with its familiar scent. They sat together and ate, talking about school, work, neighborhood stories. As they washed the dishes afterward, Ji-yun said, "Mother, I really love this smell now. I don't know why I ever said I didn't." Bun-ya took her hand. "It's enough that you understand now. We all make mistakes and learn," she said. That night, they stayed late, just talking. No one rushed to leave. Being together was enough. Young's Dinjong Stew House opens again today. Before dawn, she is there, dissolving paste, simmering anchovies, cutting vegetables, cooking rice. At the entrance, a small sign is hung. "A house remembered by its smell, Young's Dinjong Stew." That smell is not just the smell of food. It is the smell of love, the scent of a mother who has spent her whole life cooking for her family. To some, it may be unpleasant. But for those who remember it, it is the warmest smell in the world. At over 70, she started a new life. She was left alone, but she was not lonely. She had been hurt by family, but did not fall into despair. Instead, she chose her own path, and in that path, she found real happiness. Even now, people come to her restaurant, those who miss their mothers, those who miss home-cooked meals, those who simply need a warm bowl of soup and a bit of comfort. They eat one bowl of stew, feel comforted, and somehow find the strength to return to their lives. This is the life she chose. Not flashy, but meaningful, a life where offering one warm meal is enough to make it worthwhile. Everyone, will you call your parents today? Don't push them away because of the way they smell, or because they feel like a burden. Remember that smell. It is the smell of love. Breathe it in while you can. Because one day, you may long for it and never be able to smell it again. The steam rising from her stew pot today holds her entire life, pain and sorrow, endurance and hope. Above all, it holds an endless love. Inside the restaurant, there is laughter from customers, from her family. Listening to it, she thinks, this is what happiness is. Somewhere right now, another mother is making stew for her children, for her family, for someone she loves. Please remember that scent, and be grateful for it. Sometimes, that alone is enough.